If you're watching this in the future, this video is going up in March of 2018. February of 2018 was a terrible month for me. It was just very, very just emotionally, physically, and yeah, everything was just stressful to the max. I just that's not why we're here. We're not here. So realistically, what happened was I was actually freaking out, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I was talking about it in my live stream where I'm like, shit, I don't know what I'm going to make for my first Wednesday video. And someone in the comments, because I looked at his live stream when I was talking about this, was like, I can't wait for your next mage bio. And then I was like, oh shit, it's the first of the month. I have to get a mage bio done. And so it completely skipped my mind. So I thought, since last month was such a shitty month, I am going to do my special boy. My boy. This character means a lot to me. I know I say this a lot, but realistically, out of the entire marked cast, if I had to pick two that are really, really close to my heart, for story reasons and just connection reasons, it would be Tetsu and Tybalt. And obviously, a lot of people might be surprised because I don't do a lot of art of Tybalt. And it's not because I don't want to, it's because I honestly don't feel like I can justify him. I know that sounds really odd, but I've always had the same vision in my head. And there's some art of him in my gallery, and it's just, I've never been able to fully feel perfect, because I have actually drawn out his bio before finally finishing it. I would have to say, shit, since his creation, at least like 9 to 10 times, but I never finished them because they never felt like him. I never felt like I could get him right. You know, I could never get his body type right. I could not project him right. Writing him, easy. I could easily write him. I can easily roleplay as him. I could have other people draw him, and they seem to get it, but I was never able to get it. And I know that might sound super weird, but since he means so much to me, I don't know. I'm the only one who's like that, where you just can't like feel like you justify your characters, and he is a very, very good being. So let's get into info on him. But first, I guess I should talk about the picture since I'm already rambling. Oh boy. So I ended up fixing this sketch a lot from the sketch phase to the inking phase, because it just was not coming together. It was not looking right. And realistically, I was kind of freaking out. I'm like, oh, I have to have this done. And I'm like, oh, nothing looks right, it looks too stiff, and then I made it look more fluid, and it looked more fluid, but then his arms looked really fucking weird, and I realized his arms were, like, broken in the original sketch, and so I tried fixing them, and I fixed the position of his rapier, and I like the finished outcome a lot better, so if you're at that point where it's still, like, broken anatomy, it does get slightly fixed. This is also why I always suggest to people to step away after you finish a sketch, because realistically, if I didn't step away, I would have still thought it looked wonky, but I would have inked it anyway. I stepped away, I worked on another picture, and then I went back to this. And so that's why there's going to be like a slight little jump in the videos, is because my recording software was being a derp, but that's why that is. So hopefully that's not too bad. The anatomy's still not perfect. I feel like I should explain this, because a lot of people actually in the comments seem very like nervous to give me critiques. If the critique is done properly, I happily take it to help my work. I think everyone should take, properly written critiques, and a properly written critique is, pointing out something that's wrong, explaining how to fix it, seeing, what else I could do to fix the picture. It's proper critique, not that shit looks like ass, or that bitch got a broken shoulder, or shit like that. And I'm like, that's great, thanks, that doesn't help me at all. Again, if you see anything wrong, and you want me to, well, I probably won't fix it, but I'll learn about it from next time, because I don't tend to fix my bios unless the things are, like, really jarringly bad. So, let's get on to character details. So, Tybalt's name is Tybalt Pacilio, and I'm probably saying that terrible because it's supposed to be Italian, and he is one of the more younger beings of the marked cast. He is a part of a little trio of mages where Adrian, and Alador are best friends, and they go on their own little mini adventures, and in the stories and in the books, you sort of read about their adventures while other adventures are going on. It's marked as going to be one of those split perspective books. It's kind of how I've always seen it. Hopefully you don't mind those when the book does come out. I don't know when, but when it does, you'll know, so... He is actually one of my mages that has a couple of disorders, and I feel only comfortable mentioning one because the other one's kind of a spoiler, so I'm not going to let that one go. But he actually has ADHD, and I based him off a lot about me. And by that I mean, like, when I was his age, the kind of person I was, because when I read books and when I saw movies and when I, read comics and everything, around kids my age, I could never, and this sounds like I'm making him into a persona, but I'm not, but I was never, and I think this is why I was never able to get into reading until I was in, like, high school, was I never found a character that was like me, and I know that sounds lame, and a lot of people don't like that, but when you're a kid, and I consider him a kid, it's like, you kind of need that, like, jumping off point, so you can relate to a character. So that's why I gave him ADHD, because even though I've never been formally diagnosed, I'm pretty sure I have it. I gave him that. I gave him hobbies that he was grossly obsessed with, that are very different than my hobbies at the time, but I gave him hobbies that he was obsessed with. I made him a very caring character, and I also made it to where he is actually probably one of the worst mages, and by that I mean, like, he sucks. He sucks at using his magic. Unlike Lorelei, because Lorelei doesn't like using her magic. She sort of represses herself and refuses to learn it. Tybalt tries, but he gets bored really easily, so he doesn't want to take the time to learn it. He's one of those characters that's like, I know, well, again, that's one of those things, too, is like, if I was told at the age of 13, because that's when a mage awakens, that, okay, you're this very powerful being, and there's only 7 of us on this planet, and you can use magic, and you can learn how to fly, and shit like that, I would be like, fuck yeah, this is so cool, which is how Tybalt reacts to it, especially with his upbringing, because Tybalt is also probably one of the more secluded characters in his upbringing. That's again by choice by his mother to protect him. He was raised since pretty much birth on a pirate ship, so he knows a lot about the vast oceans, because in their world, their main continent is still in Pangea form, so the world's like 90% ocean, and so because of that, the limits are boundless to the shit that's in the ocean. So Tybalt is my seafaring character, and so he grew up that way, and then when he was old enough, his mom decided, okay, we can't stay on the ship anymore, we can't stay with these pirates, even though they're family, for their safety and yours, we have to go somewhere and make a stable living. And so she ends up taking him to the Free Islands, where there are no people. And by that, they're not alone, because it's on the Free Islands of my world. That's where the dragons migrated to. Yes, my world has dragons. There's, mages and dragons and vampires and other shit. So, on this island, he didn't have any other humans besides his mom. That doesn't mean that he didn't have friends or contact with people, because he did, because dragons are sentient. So he wasn't fully alone, but like when his friends come along, when he awakens, it's like, oh crap, there's people like me out there. And that's why they tend to go on their adventures, and he is such an energetic oddball, is because it's like, he doesn't really know how to act around normal people, which is why it's also fun. And another one of his quirks, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous Marked Mage bio picture, but every mage has a default quirk. I use quirk because that's how I always put it before My Hero Academia came out, and I was like, shit. It's kind of like how I had a fusion idea before I got into Steven Universe, and then I was like, shit. But, so, his quirk is that he cannot physically lie, which is also really fun to write. He can't lie, and he can see through lies, but that's a skill that he learns later on, is the seeing through ones, more is the one he can't tell a lie. And so because of that, he ends up just saying a lot of shit that's on top of his head. And being raised by pirates and his mom, he's very crass, because again, he wasn't really around people, so he curses a lot. He's very blunt, and if you were to touch his skin, it would like transfer to you for a certain amount of time. And so because of that, a lot of his friends also like they love him, and but when they first find out, it's like they give him a hug and they're like, yeah, we're like this, and then they kind of just end up spewing information, and they're like both very confused, and they kind of cover their mouths, and they're like, why did I just say that? And he's just laughing his ass off like, oh, I don't know, my mom and our family always kind of said that was weird, that whenever we would do stuff, like, no one could touch me, and I didn't know why. I guess that's a thing, because each mage has like a default thing, and that's his. So because of that, whenever he has to lie, I always compare it to, and this is probably a terrible example, but it always makes me fucking laugh, and it's all I can think about when I write these scenes, is that scene in, I think it was Shrek 2, where it's either Shrek 2 or Shrek 3, where Pinocchio has to like go through this like giant long ass like saying thing, where he's not lying, but he's not telling the truth, and he's just going on, and so Tybalt tries doing that a lot of the time when he really has to. And he also has a glamour form, which I sadly didn't record because my recording software was being kind of wonky at the end, but his glamour form is actually put on him by his friends, because as I said, he sucks at magic, and he can't really just kind of walk around, especially since he has a mark on his cheek. Similar to Tetsu's, who has hers on her face. He got his actually from pissing off a mom dragon, and she kind of just swatted him, because I don't give a fuck, they're dragons. And so that's how he got his. And I remember when his friends were like, how'd you get that? He's like, I don't remember, I was really young, and I think I pissed something off. And then it's, yeah, just comedy gold and all that stuff like that. So because of that, I'm actually really happy talking about him. I love Tybalt. He's such a good kid. Another thing you're probably noticing is his weird sword handle thing. There's a reason for it looking that way. It's not that I drew it wrong on purpose. He actually made it himself, and because of that, I had to think, I'm like, okay, because I was looking up rapier hilts, and I'm like, these really beautiful, ornate, nice, like, fancy things. And then I had to remember that my character made it, and not, like, me. So I'm sitting here like, this thing is gonna look like ass, because this is a kid who doesn't know what he's doing, who kind of has an idea from books, and has never done this before, and so he took this special gem, and I don't know if a lot of people have noticed this, but in a lot of mage art, they all have a certain type, almost all of them. There's like one who doesn't. There's a reason. Well, no, Lorelei doesn't either. But there's one more that doesn't, and there's a reason for that too. But that'll come when I do their bio. So when Tybalt got his like stone thing, most other mages, when they get their orb thing, I'm calling it that because the name's spoilery. So when they get it, they're like trying to explain to him like, okay, this is this very important thing, and it's been in mage reincarnations for generations, and it'll help power your magic. And the first thing he thinks of doing is he takes this relic, this ancient relic, and he just fucking smashes it on the floor. Everyone's in shock, and he just like takes the pieces and he's like, I can put this in something, and everyone else is like, you're supposed to use magic to transmute it. You just destroyed this ancient relic. We don't even know if it's gonna work. And he's like, oh well, who the fuck cares? It's mine. It's mine now. So, it's kid logic pretty much. So that's why his rapier has those like weird. It technically has 3, but the other one doesn't really count. And so what he does is when he's not focusing on it and making the light blade, which he named his name Light as in L-I-T or now L-Y-T, and it's like his friends pointed out when he writes it out. It's like, why is it called lit? And he's like, no, it's light. And they're like, that's not how you spell it. And he's like, oh well. I never properly learned how to spell or read, so you know what, suck it. And so, with his rapier, he learns how to use it, and that's like one of the few things he is good at, is he's really fast. That's one of his other things, is he can be really, really fucking fast, and he loves sword fighting. But the funny thing is, he can only use it from his magic angle. So, because of that, he, like, if he's ever given another sword, he has to, like, jump on it and break the frickin' actual sword part off, because it's too heavy. Get it? Because he's the light mage. Get it? It's stupid joke, I know, but it's in his character, so. Oh, I feel I feel like I've been talking the most about Tybalt so far in these mages, but I love talking about him. He's such a good kid. He also loves puns, which is ironic because I fucking hate puns. So, like, I have to whenever I write, like, puns for him, I have to have Cody come along and be like, I need to have a Tybalt write, like, say a pun, and then Cody helps me out with that. But he's just a good boy. And so, I also worked on his outfit a bit this time, because his other outfit, you're gonna see, like, one of the basic sketches I had of his old bio set up, and it was so bad. It was so bad. But, one thing I should point out, a lot of people are probably going to ask, like, why does he look the way he just is if he's supposed to be 14? And there is a reason for that. And the reason is that since their timeline, like, he's still a kid, but he thinks of himself as an adult, like most kids in that age and that era. So that's why I gave him slightly harsher features, but I still gave him a very slender body. He actually looks extremely different when he becomes an adult, and I can't do his adult bio until the books are out, because they're very spoilery. In fact, Adrian, Alador's, and Tybalt's, you guys don't know Alador yet, all of them are very spoilery as their adult forms, so that's like one of those things where it's like, I've drawn it, and I kind of want art of it, but I can't, because it's spoilery. And I feel like I'm just teasing everybody right now, so I think I'll leave it here. I hope you guys enjoyed my rambles about my good boy, who I love so much. And, yeah, just leave it here. So, as always, guys, I will see you next time. Bye.